Hello, everyone. This is Rana Marin saying hello from an open door. Welcome. It's Monday, February 9th, 2026, and you've lit upon the program where the rubber meets the road. This is where we discuss ideas from A Course in Miracles and we apply them to our everyday life. So this week we're going to be taking a look at instruction 8 from the Purple Book on page 1473, What is the Real World? And before I do anything else, I would love to play a song for you. So here we go.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for the daily races, going nowhere, and the tears are filling up their glasses, no expression. No expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Made to feel the way that every child should. Sit and listen, sit and listen. I went to school and I was very nervous. No one knew me, no one knew me. Hello teacher, tell me what's my lesson. Look right through me, look right through me. I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad
It's a mad world. But what is the real world? I didn't know there was a real world. I thought I would open today by just reading the lesson, the instruction first, and then I'll flush it out with a little bit of talking, and then we'll throw it over to Andrew. So this is What is the Real World, Instruction 8. The real world is a symbol, like the rest of what perception offers. Yet it stands for what is opposite to what you made. Your world is seen through eyes of fear and brings the witnesses of terror to your mind. The real world cannot be perceived except through eyes of forgiveness except through eyes forgiveness blesses. So they see a world where terror is impossible and witnesses to fear cannot be found. The real world holds a counterpart for each unhappy thought reflected in your world, a sure correction for the sights of fear and sounds of battle that your world contains. The real world shows a world seen differently through quiet eyes and with a mind at peace. Nothing but rest is here. There are no cries of pain and sorrow heard, for nothing here remains outside forgiveness. And the sights are gentle. Only happy sights and sounds can reach the mind that has forgiven itself. What need has such a mind for thoughts of death, attack, and murder? What can it perceive surrounding it but safety, love, and joy? What is there it would choose to be condemned, and what is there that it would judge against? The world it sees arises from a mind at peace within itself. No danger lurks in anything it sees, for it is kind, and only kindness does it look upon. The real world is the symbol that the dream of sin and guilt is over, and God's Son no longer sleeps. His waking eyes perceive the sure reflection of his Father's love, the certain promise that he is redeemed. The real world signifies the end of time, for this perception makes time purposeless. The Holy Spirit has no need of time when it has served his purpose. Now he waits but that one instant more for God to take his final step, and time has disappeared, taking perception with it as it goes and leaving but the truth to be itself. That instant is our goal, for it contains the memory of God. And as we look upon a world forgiven, it is he who calls to us and comes to take us home, reminding us of our identity, which our forgiveness has restored to us. So this topic came from a discussion we were having last week. And I think it was during when we were talking about the guides. And Richard, we were talking about the upper room, and all that guidiness things. And Richard said, like the real world. And I don't know if he meant to say that, but boy, did that hit me like a hatchet. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, the upper room is the real world, perhaps. So I thought I would sit with that this weekend and think about that. And as I read this section over and over again, this is just another reminder that when I think things should be different or judgment is coming up, that the real world is as close as my breath. All I have to do is take a moment and ask to be shown, for the judgment to be forgiven, to remember the truth that all is innocent. And for me, what's really important is that love has the freedom to express itself in whatever manifestation I'm looking at without my commentary. That is where the disturbance definitely comes. So a kind of a worldly problem. I got a kitty that doesn't feel good, and this kitty does not like to get in the kitty carrier. So I've been putting it off for days going, okay, maybe it'll just go away, you know, and it has not gone away. So this morning I sat with that because I was like, you're wishing something was different, Rana. Just be willing to do the next step. I mean, it was literally like Friday, I couldn't get myself to call the vet. I just couldn't do it. It wasn't happening. And then this morning, it wasn't just an easy phone call, and I explained our situation, and they said, have Ryan come over and pick up a little of this calming medicine. I was like, how am I supposed to get it in her? But I'm going to trust and I have help. And so tomorrow morning, we're going to give her a little common medicine and then we're going to shove her in the cat carrier. And I told them to keep her. If you have to give her medicine and all that, I said, please do IV. I I love this kitty so much. She showed up in my garage a little bit after my dad passed. And so she just sort of made us her family. But it's so interesting how paralyzed this one can get when certain problems come up. And like, I really want to be like, oh, maybe it'll just go away. Maybe someone else will take care of it. I'm such a little kid when it comes to that kind of stuff. You do it. And that's what I'm noticing today. And I'm giggling because there's no judgment. For the first time, I'm not beating myself up because I should be doing things better. It just is what it is, and it's the way it's going. And I know all will be well, and it is now. But really, what got me there was reading this. There's no sin, there's no guilt. I can pause an instant more, leaving but the truth to be itself. It's not a test. It's not, doesn't make me worthy or not, how I get this cat to the vet. But it's interesting how the mind wants to attach those kind of things to it. And so I'm grateful for the noticing. And the last thing I wanted to add is as I was looking for our topic, I went right to this instruction after Richard said that. And then I happened to notice the two lessons that are prior to this instruction. The first one is 289. The past is over. It can touch me not. I thought, when I'm sitting in any holy instant moment, right? It's over. Whatever, it's over. And then the other one is 290. We've been talking about this a lot for the last couple of weeks. My present happiness is all I see. Unless I look upon what is not there, my present happiness is all I see. Eyes that begin to open to see at last, and I would have Christ's vision come to me this very day. What I perceive without God's own correction for the sight I made is frightening and painful to behold. Yet I would not allow my mind to be deceived by the belief the dream I made is real an instant longer. This day I seek my present happiness and look on nothing else except the thing I seek. So, it's kind of a minor story, but it is the biggest thing going on in my world right now. And I'm grateful for that, right? Everybody's healthy and happy and our lives are full of abundance. And then there's just this little kitty issue. So I trust. And I'm grateful for the seeming problems that I do have today, because they are nothing compared to the way it was when I was asleep. I'm so glad not to be asleep 100% of the time anymore. So thank you. That's what came out. I love you all. We're going to have Andrew give us his view, and then we're going to go to Endago.
Thank you, Rona. Hello, everyone. Great to see you all. I love you all. The music choice was excellent, and it brought something to mind. The song goes, the dreams I have of dying were the best I've ever had. Now, this lesson is about the real world, which is also a symbol. That means this world is a symbol. The real world is a symbol. The real world is on our path to fully awakening. And the thought occurred to me that when we leave our bodies behind, when we transition, our conscious goes somewhere. We don't go right to heaven or hell like, some religions teach you. We go somewhere and we have the option to return to earth, as in another form or the same form. So in the interim, I'm thinking that place that we go to might be the real world. And from that real world, we can either unite with God, he'll come across the bridge if we've made enough progress. He'll pull us across the bridge to unity. But if we are not quite ready, then we come back. That's my take. I could be totally wrong on that. It's just a feeling, just a thought that I've had, and it's there for discussion if anybody wants to follow up with that. But thank you. I love you again, and it's great to be here.
Thank you, Andrew. And Dago.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. And I just, I'm really just, I'm really just speechless. How our Father God just takes care of us completely. We think, or at least I think, or Dago thinks she has to do this, she has to do that, she has to take care of this. But no, our Father is doing everything. And it's when we surrender, get quiet, that we can hear what our Father is telling us and loving us so much. And always loves us so much, more than we can even imagine. We don't have a clue how amazing in this love that just surrounds us. We are all light. We are all love. There is only God. There's nothing else. So I just love these teachings so much. I just keep waking up and I don't get it and or whatever, but that's just all the dream. Because I'm not this body. I am spirit. And I'm not doing anything, which is so funny. And I love God and I love all of you so much. And we are so blessed and so loved. There is just love. There is just God. And I love being here with all of you so much. I'm so grateful for everything. So thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. It occurred to me as I was standing at the sink yesterday, and I just sort of gave my willingness, because I knew that I couldn't do nothing in the dream. So I gave my willingness. And what I heard clearly was, this is just an experience. Just take the next step, So simple, so loving, even though my insides were like, "Ugh," you know, I just heard that beautiful, and it's not even a voice, it's a feeling with some sort of communication attached to it. Just take the next step. So look who it is. Cindy Krupp. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm back. Oh, that was weird. I never went anywhere, but um a couple things. First, I heard Andrew's invitation for conversation, and I'd love that conversation. And but I'd love to suggest that first you listen to the podcast that was discussed in Finding Truth yesterday, and then we talk about what happens. I just started it. I talked to Amy on the phone while I was in the airport yesterday, and she kept recommending both the one that we're going to be talking to about this week and last week, and I just decided to start with Panache yet, and he has a beautiful conversation relative to reincarnation and what we are, and I'm sure one of us will drop in the link, but if you are interested, Andrew, I would love to have that conversation based on, some of the things this mystic shares, because I think he just speaks so beautifully. I I have been finding God in Ubers. And when I was in the Uber yesterday, at one point, I was laughing. I was like, I can't wait to tell Richard this one. Um, I was leaving my parents' house to come back to I have a lot of stories, but I'm just telling this one. And I got into the Uber, and a young man. He has kids that are teenagers, I guess, 9 and 12, I think, and he had gone through a horrible, horrible divorce. But he was full of joy and strength. And on his radio, and he had no apologies about it, he had a Christian, it was Sunday, 12:30, but like there was a preacher on the radio. And I was like, oh, it's God. And he said, you want me to turn it down? I said, no, 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 no. Though I never heard a word that was said, but it opened the conversation, right? And the part of this story that I want to share, which I found just that reminded me of, I was in this place of, I can't wait to tell this one to Richard. And it's so to me, it's what we're talking about. He said a couple of things. Now he's coming across as a Christian, right? And we have to. And at one point, he said, "Where my parents are his parents are Jehovah's Witnesses, and they're coming towards that." And another point, he said, it's time for me to read the Quran." And he's talking about Bible study and all different things, but it's still not in a way that made me feel bad. I was able to say I'm part of a group that talks about all these religions. There were two things that came up that lit me up relative to this conversation. The first was we were talking about when fear and worry and doubt arises, right? Like, what does that mean? And he said, well, you know where that comes from. And I was laughing because he might have different words for it. But I was like, yep, I just doubt God is real. Like I had lots of opportunities for fear over the last couple of weeks, and I kept choosing otherwise. And sometimes, like my whole body would shake while I stood still in the borderlands, right? Um, Picking my side. I kept picking my side over and over and over again. But he was funny. He said, well, you know where that fear comes from, don't you? And I was like, yeah, I do. It's doubt in God, right? And so that is this teaching all over the place, right? Because in the real world, there's no fear. So if I am experiencing this worry and doubt and contraction and the mind spinning, it means that I'm believing something other than the peace of God. And there's a period, and he and I were both on the same page. But then I said to him, and I hear myself saying this to a lot of people all the time, right? I said to him, like what can God not handle? Like, I think you've all heard me say that, right? And he got real still. And this is why it's Richard, right? Because how many times has Richard told us that the dream is already over? I know it's a big part of A Course in Miracles teaching, but it's in Richard's voice in my head. He just said, he literally just said, God already handled it. That's all he said. He said, God has already got this handled. And when he said it, this amazing Uber driver we had, who literally then went on to talk about how this half-drunk woman sat in his car and he had the same radio station on and she got really angry and really upset. And she said something like, "Can you turn it down?" And he got her talking and he found out that her brother was very sick with cancer and he ended up praying over her. Like it was just an interesting kind of thing. And yet he was still just, he and I were on exactly the same wavelength. He just provided this energetic space to allow God to be real. But it was that statement that it shook me when he said it. My um my Uber driver when I said, "What is it about what's going on right now that God can't handle?" And he just started laughing because he said, "God's already got it. God's already handled it. It's already over." And then he said, and this is my Christian friend again, then he said, "God is outside of time and space." And after that, my mind blew up, right? It just And I got schooled and I said, yes, he is. And after that, some of you saw the picture. I was just in the airport. My feet were up and I was laying back because it's already over. My Uber driver told me so, and I believe him. And so I'm really happy to be here. I'm really happy to know that the dream is already over. I'm really happy to know that the more relaxed and open. And then the other thing, he said it to me, and this gentleman that's now living with my parents helping out, and this other, like almost every day, multiple times a day, strangers are looking at me and they're just saying, bless you. They're just they're just saying, bless you, bless you, bless you. And I'm like, yes, yes, thank you. God does bless us. We are blessed. We see the divinity in each and every one of us. That's what the guy tells me. And I've got Like it's becoming more and more mystical. I like that word. Not magical, just mystical. Like, why not make God more real than the insanity of what the dualistic world has felt like or looked like in the last couple of weeks? So that's my share. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. I love us.
Thank
Um,
you, Cindy.
William's hand went down.
I saw that. Don't worry. We will not miss that. Don't worry. We're so glad you're back. Yeah, that video we watched last week, like maybe this is just our life review. Maybe it already happened. And so I'm just observing the whole thing going down. Oh, love that. Rick, what's going on, my friend?
Good morning, friends. It's good to be here with you all. Thank you, Rona. I loved what you read, and I love Andrew's contribution. Um, we have a woman here in Toronto who is big in AA, and she used to be a nun, and we call her the Flying Nun. And she always says, we must believe more in the mystical. So thank you, Cindy. So there's all these little aha things that are going on for me. Not only with the past is over and it cannot touch me. No, I have this thing in my head that's constantly putting the past in front of whatever this is. I see a screen within a screen within 15 prayers. And this thing with animals and presence is what really stirred up with me. Thank you, Rona, because I just had a reminder that it's time to give Chance her needle. And Chance was my dog. And she had chronic pain. And so I used to have to give her injections every month. She's been gone for 4 years now, but I still have the reminder that comes up. And it was through these beings, whether it be my fish, whether it be the snails, whether it be my dog, there was this presence that seemed to, this might get a little hokey pokey. My fish would follow me no matter what part of the room I would go in. They would, so if my fish tank was here and I was over here, they would all be on the corner watching whatever I did. And my dog was the same. And somehow through that, because I gave up on life, through that, there was this awareness that happened through them, through that hit me because I was dead. And yet these beings had so much life, and they seemed to have more value for my life than I had for my life. I hope that makes sense. But it was through those encounters that sparked something in me. Yeah. So when you're talking about your pet, your child, whatever you want to call, to me, my dog was my life, and I was her life. And you knew when you saw us together, you knew there was this bond that was, yeah. Even my partner was jealous of that bond because he bought the dog and he's like, why the fuck is she always with you? And that was with two of them. But she would look in my eyes and stare into me for the longest time. And I thought, that's so bizarre that she does that. So sorry, I'm going off topic here. But there is a connection. And so Rona, I get it when it comes to, I remember she was a heavy girl. She was 90 pounds. And to get her anywhere wasn't easy. And yet, she would jump off a bridge if I jumped off the bridge. There was that connection. And I don't know. I just want to say there is this thing called life, and to go on to talk about what Andrew talked about with was what goes on after this. I believe we get connected back to that source, that I have this illusion that I am Rick Rowe, because this myopticness for whatever this realm is, it feels real, it seems real, but it's connected me to emotions and feelings that I never realized that I had within me through these connections with beings, that just blows my mind away. Yeah, I learned love through my dog. That is insane. Like hearing that come out of my mouth is insane, because that's my truth. Anyhow, it's so good to be here with you all. I love you, and thank you for allowing me to share this space with you.
So good to hear from you, Rick. Thank you. Blessed beings. William, did you want an opportunity or would you like to wait? It's up to you.
Well, let me jump in then.
Okay, good.
I'm so sorry I got in late to the previous discussion when Lonnie was talking. I really was struck because what I thought of her say, I'm not willing to listen to someone. I find it hard to tell them. And I really loved what Cindy was saying, how to share the love and still the boundary of what I will put up with. And I think that's a whole procedure, that process for my life. But what occurred to me is that I think there are a lot of people that could say that to me. And then what I realized, that's what I'm probably saying to myself. I find it hard to tell you, but I'm not willing to listen to certain thoughts and paths that you're going down. And it makes me sad that I have that little respect for, and yet it makes me glad that I'm seeing what's true and what isn't, in the sense that what really rings true inside. And I just feel that last week I had this experience of being in the moment versus being in the moment. That being still were just words until I really was still. And so when I feel that with certain people, whether it's my dog, my little guys when they were young, so forth, so many times I'm always in that presence, but I get so sidetracked listening to words of other people. And yet something in me, I find it hard to tell them, I'm really not paying attention to you. I don't want to go where your words are trying to lead me. So somehow I wanted to share this. And when I hear Indigo, Cindy, 80 of you all who are so certain, or when I listen to Mary Reed or Panache or any number, hundreds of people, I pay attention. Something rings true, and then so much doesn't ring true. So I take my fill of the politics up to a point, and I'm finding that that threshold is diminishing. I've had enough entertainment. I don't take it for real. I don't believe anything that's being said. But now I just, instead of being entertained, it's like a tennis match. I'm willing to turn it off because I'm just not. And, and you know what? I just feel the sadness of I am willing to tell people I'm not willing to listen to. It's their garbage, put it innocently. They're so entertaining. So, so thanks for you all speaking from your heart, because I do love to hear that.
Thank you, William. You are very much loved.
Thank you.
Julie, what you got?
Good afternoon, everyone. So happy to be here. Isn't it amazing? The more and more I come to these gatherings, it's like it's, right where I need to be. And especially, this one, what is the real world? I had shared with Ron and Livy this morning. A lot of you, I think, know, but we had our second grandchild was born last Wednesday, a little boy, and we're all excited. And found out at his pediatrician visit that he has like this little dimple, sacral dimple, it's called, that's by his crease of his butt. And so he's going for an ultrasound today. And I wasn't thinking nothing of it, but of course I Googled it today, and then I really freaked out because it has something to do with his spinal cord. So, but it could be nothing. But Julie went with, you know, and but I'm so grateful because like what Cindy said, the fear was rising, but then I'm not living in the real world, because when I read this, right, I just got home I had to run to the dentist. And so I read this before the gathering, and it was just exactly, I don't want to live in that fear. And I have to, God's got this. And I loved it when Cindy just shared with her interaction with the Uber person, that God's already handled this. And whatever it is, it's going to be okay because I'm going to love this child no matter what. And that's where I look at my dear, dear friend Rana, with her daughter Kylie, that what is perfection? You know what I mean? And it's just, I'm just blessed to be with all of you because you guys just keep on re-encouraging me that it is all about love and that God's got this. And I'm just having a role to play and just to keep giving out the love because that's what it's all about. So yeah, so I just want to share that with you. Just thank you for all of you guys for your little nuggets because it really is helping me with not, letting go of my human fear and realizing that God's got me, that, we all are one, this oneness. So thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Good work. Really good work noticing and that willingness to see things differently, not panic on dry land, all good things for sure. Thank you for sharing. Johnson, I love you.
Hi, everybody, and thanks, Julie. Thanks, and I want to acknowledge you for the joy that you bring, so many times, and actually all your emotions that you're so willing to show and express. It's so beautiful, and thank you for that so much. I just thinking, Rona, about your kitty cat, and
You muted yourself, John.
silly me. Well, let's talk about that for a start, because actually Ndego brought that up about being speechless, and I just muted myself, so maybe that's a metaphor, and because what I did hear yesterday was we're talking about the real world, Rona, and that is a spot that any step away from that is like being on the North Pole. Any step you take is away from the North Pole. Any step. So the first step is I heard yesterday is with our thinking, with our thoughts, and the second step is with our words. So basically, to be speechless, Ndego, is a wonderful spot if you don't follow it up with a lot of words. So we're kind of caught in this little trap. But it goes back to that song too, because there's mention of happy birthday and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, we don't realize how we're trapped in this. It's automatic, but happy birthday, I got to believe in the past, and I got to believe in the future, that it's going to be recycling. And, like recycling, like I think it was William talked about the reincarnation. And that really got me going, because I love the reincarnation part, simply because my understanding is a little different. Like if you take the word reincarnate, re means again, incarnate is into form. Like, and who knows what form's going to show up. I'll give you an example. Like we are in an animal form ourselves, right? We share everything in common with a pig or any other animal, most other animals. And that animal had no clue. It's a reincarnation from what? It rests entirely upon the vegetable kingdom. If there wasn't vegetables, there would be no animals. We're dependent upon, but we reincarnate into another form. And what about the plants? Did they reincarnate? Where the hell do they come from? They come from the mineral kingdom. There's every little. There's no plant that's not totally dependent upon the ground and on its growth. Oh, the minerals we got to pay homage to, where the hell do they come from? They've been reincarnated. Where the hell from? From substances and forms. They all come from the periodic table, all put together and organized in particular ways. And where the hell did the periodic table come by? Well, we got to go back to look at the electrons moving around, or the proton and the neutron and stuff like that. And now we're in electronic form. So we've reincarnated through all these forms. And now we're going to talk about some imaginary thing that we're going to reincarnate in. Who knows what we're going to be doing? We haven't got a freaking clue to make up anything about this story. So, it's just a beautiful, mystical thing. Like it's a grand, just a grand story. But anyway, and it is exciting. But what I did here is, and it kind of speaks to what Rona was talking about, and we're dealing with a little pussycat, so that is really where we're at, and we got to face that. It's no different from Julie's feelings or my feelings or anybody else's feelings about that stuff. It's the same thing. And what does the Course in Miracles promise us? The biggest promise, of Course in Miracles, is inner peace. I heard that yesterday. So if I'm willing paying any attention to this, then maybe I can focus on that promise. That there is a real world, and I can sit on that as my North Pole. So I will say one thing. I just wanted to share something beautiful that I heard yesterday. I watched an interview with Frank Abagnale. I think Catch Me If You Can guy, and he works for the FBI, and he's talking about how when he was a kid, and it was the most beautiful story because he was such an expert. I don't know if anybody's seen the movie, but he's an expert at frauding. And the FBI eventually, after he served his time, hired him to help them with their investigations. And he's worked for them for 34 years now. But the thing he said when he was growing up, there's 3 boys. And every night, for as long as he can remember, when he was a kid, his father used to come in and whisper into their ears, "I love you so much. I love you so much. Have a good night's sleep." Every night his father used to do that. And it really touched me deeply in terms, that the programming that man had, like that allowed him to really feel loved and to be congruent in his life, or whatever he did, right or wrong. He had his head up, and he did some amazing things, but just goes back to being loved by his father. And then he had some major things to deal with, because when he was 16, he had to witness his parents divorcing, and he had no clue that was on the horizon. But and the judge told him to choose between whether he wanted to stay with his mother and father. He just left the court and ran. He ran away. He couldn't handle it. But the main takeaway for me, and if you just heard him say it, he was teaching these kids in a school. He said, the mainest thing my father said, "I love you. Have a good night's rest." Every night he used to say that to his 3 boys. And it really, that was, I just leave you with that. And, I just love you with, and have you have a good day, everybody. God bless you.
Thank you, John. So some hands were up and then they went down. And so now it's open for anybody that would like to share. Amy. Oh, Richard.
Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. Great article. And yes, Rona, that was what I was referring to last week, the werewolf. One thing I've learned over the last few years, I struggled for maybe 20 years with the whole idea of forgiveness. I couldn't figure out what the Course meant by forgiveness. And so I focused on being in love in thought, word, and deed. That was my creed. I thought that was a better goal than forgiveness. It wasn't until recently, the last few years, I found out that I had forgiveness all wrong. That the part of the Course that talks about forgiveness, or the Song of Prayer pamphlet, the way I thought of forgiveness was a worldly view of forgiveness. Forgiving someone who attacked me, or forgiving myself for my attack on another brother or sister. That's called the forgiveness to destroy in the Course in Miracles. And it's called that because when you forgive another being for attacking you or for you attacking them, you're defining yourself as a separate self. Not oneness, but all that is. So I learned that what the Course means, and the second a sentence in this lesson was forgive. The real world can only be experienced when you've forgiven the world. So what does that mean? That means that forgiveness in the Course, I've learned, it means to accept everything as it is without judgment. In other words, we judge nothing. And that's where the peace of mind resides. And also I found that the real world is available in this instance. Now, I thought it was something that would happen to me in the future. When I learned the Course, when I heal the mind, then they would experience the real world. The real world is now in the present moment. Or if you're non-judgmental, and all you are is the love you are in the present moment, you're in the real world. And so you can experience the real world from moment to moment, like William says, by just being in the moment to moment and being the love. And I love the Panache reference. Hope all of us are loving our humanity today, because that's part of the journey. And you love everything. All your mistakes, love them. All your blessed moments, love them. So I love us all, and thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Richard. I can't hear that too many times, and I think that's why I was giggling today, because I just noticed how the mind wanted to attack and just make me wrong for the way that I had been handling this. And it's like, it doesn't matter. It wasn't supposed to happen until right now, and it's perfect just to let it all go. Thank you. Amy. Hi.
Good morning, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rana, for doing this. Your leadership is so appreciated, and I love your wisdom. I put my hand down, I put it up, and I put it down because I'm feeling today a little judgmental, and I really love what William said. And William was the one that I wanted to say thank you, William, because sometimes I get really sick and tired of hearing the same old shit. And I experienced it last night. We went to a Super Bowl game, and I couldn't find a place to sit because the hosts have this TV way up high, so my neck is up like that. So I had to move all the way into the back of the room and sit in a kitchen chair. And after 2 hours of sitting in a hard kitchen chair, I just was like, I am not having fun here. And so there's this little voice that says, oh, you should just accept and just love what is. And I'm like, fuck that. I don't love this. And then one of the women there, who we know who has very powerful, strong political views, and every time we watch a football game, she's like, "Run, you son of a bitch, run!" And people have been saying, calm down. We don't need to, da, 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 da. I was just looking around, and I just reached this point where I just said, I actually really don't want to be here. I'm not having fun watching a group of men get paid fucking hundreds of millions of dollars for chasing a pigskin or whatever the hell they make footballs out of around on a field. It's just, I just want to be home and be at peace and in quiet. That's all I want to do. And so I went through, blaming myself, like, well, why can't you just be copacetic with this? I wasn't blaming anybody. It was really, Amy, I took full responsibility. Everybody else was enjoying, but I looked at my husband and I said, can you take me home at halftime? And I was he had to take me because we had one car. And I mean, there's so many things went through, like, will the hostess feel like I'm being rude for leaving? I'm making my husband have to take me home. Can't you just sit here and suck it up? Are you being your authentic self? I mean, all this stuff. And I, no offense to anybody, but if I hear God the Father again and you see me turn my screen off, talk about bringing the past into the present. I have had it. So I'm just being my authentic self here. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or I love us all. And I just feel sometimes like, I mean, if I can't say all this here to all of you, then who can I say it to, right? Right. So, what I'm still in this confusion about one thing I do know is be your authentic self. The second thing that I do know is it's all me. Everything. I know that. It's all me. And I know there is no other world. There is no real world because that implies separation. If there's a world, then that implies other beings on the world and another world from that. There's only this. That's it. This as God's being. And so all of this is floating in my space, and I appreciate being able to share. And I don't know what any of it means. I don't know what it's all about. I just know a few things about it, and I know that it's all for me, and it's all perfect as it is, and it will all be fine. But that's where I am this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see what Sandra has to say.
I was going to be quiet today, but thank you, Amy. Hugs. I'll share something. A couple of days ago, I was watching these monks that are walking across the United States, and there was this one who was giving a little talk, and he said, take out a piece of paper and write this down every morning. And he said, write down, today is going to be my peaceful day. Then he said, then scan it with your eyes and then say it out loud. And I too have experienced a lot of turmoil, Amy. I've talked to you about it. But today is going to be my peaceful day. And then I read this morning, and this, just knowing, it really helped me every time during the day when something would come up. I go, today is my peaceful day. It's so simple. And in here it says, a mind at peace within itself, seeing the world through quiet eyes, rest is here. All sights are gentle and loved. And then, Rana, I went to the next lesson instead of the previous lesson. And the next lesson was, this is a day of stillness and of peace. Christ's vision looks through me today. His sight shows me all things at peace. And so for 3 blessed days, I've been resting in peace. Not a lot of words, not a lot of thinking, just resting in peace. At the end of his talk, he said, peaceful day, peaceful life. And it somehow penetrated all the stuff. All the stuff. It penetrated it. Peaceful day. So I have it right here. Today is going to be my peaceful day. gonna stay right here. And it's amazing. It's truly amazing what we are given. If we can just open the door, even if we open it just a crack, you know, it gets a little wider, a little wider. Just open that door, let the peace permeate. Doesn't matter what I can figure out or not figure out. Doesn't matter what all these other people are doing this stuff, like that song. I'll tell you, when you were playing that song, I was thinking, no, this isn't right. What did the lesson say? The real world holds a counterpart for each unhappy thought reflected in your world. A sure correction. I love that. A sure correction for the sights of fear and the sounds of battle. Don't we love this course? Oh my gosh. Thank you, Rana.
Thank you, Sandra. I love you. Everything always works out. Before I sat down to get on the Zoom, I thought to myself, what am I going to talk about? But I'm just, when am I going to start trusting that it all is going to be there? So thank you everyone for joining today. Cindy, it's so great to have you back with us. Woohoo! This afternoon, we will be listening to the guides at 3 p.m. Eastern in this very same BAT channel. Andrew, thank you for your posing that question, and I'm sure that we will discuss that at some point. It's a juicy consideration. Cindy, do you have anything to close us with?
Gonna stop the recording.
Okay.